Live from multiple locations via the miracle of Skype. It's the LTN Hour. Let's talk NASCAR with your host, Todd Bailing. Co-host, Ed Kaluka. Featuring dangerous Dan Margetta. And Brian Schmidt. LTN is a caller-driven program, and your participation is encouraged by calling 414-421-7901. That's 414-421-7901. Now, the creator and host of the fastest hour in radio, Todd Bailing.
Nice to have you. We're getting ready to race today right here in Phoenix, Arizona. Todd Bailing, the local guy out here, joined by my three Wisconsin partners, beginning with Ed Kaluka of West Bend, Wisconsin. Hi, Ed.
Good morning, Todd. I wonder if Kyle Larson's that good, or is he cheating?
And how long has he been cheating? Dan Margetta of St. Francis, Wisconsin. Hey, man.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, Larson looks tough. Actually, Hendrick cars look tough all year.
Yeah, like a Hendrick car, right? Brian Schmidt of Ootsburg.
Morning. As I look outside my window, I wonder why the heck am I here and not with you, Todd? But I guess it is what it is.
You know, just to be different, Matt Losey came out and joined us this week and went to a handful of spring training games and went to the ARCA race on Friday night, and we'll do a little report about that a little later. But Matt was out here for the first time, brought Micro Matt, his protege son, and the two of them spent a few days here, so it was a lot of fun. This is perfect weather, by the way, today. We're looking at sunny 80 degrees for the race, which now that we have daylight saving time, were we going to do away with it, or was it going to stay? I forgot what happened. But
politicians are in charge of it, so they can't make up their mind.
Perfect. Yeah, well, let's put a little pork on the bill, and then we'll figure it out. The green flag is at 2:47 this afternoon. It will be televised on Fox 6 in Milwaukee. And, of course, coverage right here on the Big 920 at 1:30. It starts today. So you've got plenty of time to tune in and enjoy listening to sunny, warm weather. There's something about that, isn't there? This was quite the week. Kyle Larson, as the name has been mentioned a couple of times here, was fast qualifier at 130.237 miles per hour, 27,642. He turned around, turned this mile at, and it certainly was. I was in the garage during qualifying yesterday, and when Bubba Wallace came in, now, I guess you can tell pretty quickly if your car is not as good as everybody else's. He ended up 1/10 slower than everybody else, and he was having a little whiny fit. 1/10, and you must be. I guess it's not so much that you can tell that. I guess when they tell you, yeah, that should put you about 19th in the field. That's about where you lose your cookies, because he was really mad. 1/10, and look at how those cars are so evenly matched. It's unbelievable. Ed, there's much going on in the aerodynamic world this week too, which is a little past my pay grade, and I like to look to people that know about these things. This is the new short track package with a shorter spoiler and word that I've never used before. Different diffuser strakes, diffuser skirts, and engine panel strakes. Now, I wouldn't have known what that meant, but I looked at a little cartoon that was posted on Twitter today, and I got to see exactly what those strakes are. They're the little lines underneath the back end of the car. And Ed, apparently that makes a hell of a difference on a track which they consider a short track, like a 1 mile here at Phoenix.
Yeah, diffusers are a big deal in aerodynamics. On Formula One, all the way up the Cup now, where you take the entire underside of the car and you put diffusers which straighten it. Actually, they're air straighten. They straighten the air out so that it flows freely underneath the car and creates a lot less drag behind the rear bumper, because without them, the air would curl up as it left the bumper and actually pull the car backwards. With the diffusers, it straightens the air out so it flows freely away from the back of the car. And with less rear spoiler, it's the same way. The less air that you're confusing, I'll say, confusing air coming off the back of the car, the smoother that transition is. And if you looked at it like it was going through water, there'd be a lot less turbulence behind the car, which allows the car to flow through the air more freely, which those cars have always been designed to disturb the car underneath the car, which created a lot of problems. And in the panel on the front of the engine, that took the downforce away from the front of the car and taking the air so it's a little more confused coming out of the back of the car, less downforce. It makes for a car that should be able to pull up behind you and pass you if its chassis is handling well. So that's why it would make a better race, because now it's dependent upon the driver, the chassis, to drive past those aerodynamic diffusers and pass. So we'll see what happens today. It should make for a better race.
Yeah, it should make for a better race. They did have guys that just kind of spun without any provocation whatsoever, but I noticed a couple times it was they were 3 wide and the guy in the middle spun. That must have all to do with this aerodynamic thing. And is it going to be the same for an Xfinity car as it is for a Cup car, or did they have different aero rules for that?
Totally different.
Okay. All right.
I mean, it's night and day. It's almost like the cars are so different. It's like going to your local racetrack at Slinger and watching the late models and then watching the super lates. It's that much difference between the two cars.
Well, and by the way, Sammy Smith won his first ever race, becoming the 5th 18-year-old to win a race in the history of the second tier series, which has had different names over the years. But I'll tell you something. That series likes Kyle Busch, especially when Kyle Busch doesn't have a car quite as good as the one he got out of that Sammy Smith won in, the 18 car. Kyle Busch came from the back twice yesterday and was in play for the win right up till the end, except Sammy Smith had a superior car, did a fantastic job of driving the thing, and ended up Kyle Busch on the last lap had a little bit of a problem with his teammate Chandler Smith allowing Ryan Truex by to finish second. But even though Smith won it, really all eyes were on Kyle Busch and what he was doing, and that 10 car is just not as good as that 18 car. Did anybody else notice that?
Well, the 10 car, they had problems. In fact, he was on the radio, he was giving the team tips to what they need to change major in that car when they come back to Phoenix. And they didn't have what he wanted in the car, and it just wasn't handling. And it was Kyle Busch that was making up the gap, whereas the 18 car was just a perfect car. And it's easy to make a driver that look that good when he has that much to work with.
And, of course, that was the car that Kyle Busch won so many races in. I guess that's not too hard to see. You get a driver of his caliber in a car that was that good that no wonder he'd win all the time.
I mean, the Joe Gibbs cars on the Xfinity side at Phoenix are just, I mean, they're really, really good. You have Sammy Smith, you had Ty Gibbs winning last fall there. Brandon Jones has a couple of wins there. Kyle Busch has several wins there. I mean, it just goes back years. The Xfinity series with the Joe Gibbs cars has been really dominant at that place.
Okay.
That's because there's no other major manufacturer in the Xfinity series. Yeah. It's Toyota, and that's it. I mean,
Junior Motorsports cars are usually
Junior Motorsports, you betcha. Wasn't that the case? And Kyle was passing cars right and left until he'd come up behind those Junior Motorsports Chevrolets, and then things weren't quite the same then. He wasn't just blowing by them like that. So, I mean, overall, it was a pretty good show, I have to say, for the Xfinity Series yesterday. Expecting much of the same today in the Cup Series as we get this. I guess we go to the short track schedule. It's kind of hard to think of a 1 mile track as a short track, but that is what it's considered. Road courses and short tracks, and this, of course, a 1 mile track. 312 laps equals 500 kilometers, because we use kilometers in the United States, don't we? We'll be right back.
Buckle up, get ready, get set, and get your tickets now as the NASCAR Xfinity Series returns to Wisconsin's Road America in Elkhart Lake, July 27th through the 29th. The smell of fresh rubber and food will fill the air for this weekend, along with the Porsche Carrera Cup for even more racing fun. An amazing, affordable weekend of family fun with camping, food, and more. Kids 16 and under get in free with paid adult. Come for the experience, stay for the race. Get your tickets today at roadamerica.com. Your national park of speed.
From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines, just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company, in the heart of Wisconsin, is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at wagnerautomotive.com. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily, from premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit PMFlandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
Sunday, it's the 2023 Big Ten Men's Basketball Tournament Championship game. Be sure to join Greg Daniels and Doug Gottlieb for all the action as one of the nation's top conferences crowns its tournament champion.
Coverage starts at 2 on 97.3 The Game.
And they
Welcome back to LTN. Glad you could join us. This week, at pre-race inspection, NASCAR grabbed the Hendrick cars. Every single one of the Hendrick cars had their hood louvers confiscated and sent to the R&D center back in North Carolina. And, you know, the question would be then, therefore, last week William Byron dominated at Las Vegas. The question would be, did William Byron have an illegal hood louver on the car that made his car so superior? And what are we looking for? This could be a kind of a big deal, right?
Well, they noticed that on the Hendrick cars, that they have to look at that, the flap that opens up and allows the air to escape from underneath the car when you get behind someone, and the air comes up underneath the car really hard, and then them flaps would open and let the air out. Well, in the Hendrick cars, they weren't flapping, and they started to wonder why. You know, well, the hood louvers apparently had been modified. That's the other two devices in the car to let the air out from underneath the car. That they had something going on there where the downforce on their cars were different than the other cars when they modified the louvers.
Any modification of a supplied part is a major issue, right, Dan?
Oh, you're not supposed to mess with them. Yeah, that could be a big deal. Now, there were a lot of the Chevy teams were prior reporting that they were getting a hard time having those parts fit right. So there's that. I mean, it could be if they can
modification.
Right, if it's the same part and there's another modification, it's going to be done. But if they did modify them, last year, Keselowski got slammed pretty good for, was it a bumper cover or something like that? It was like 100 points and 10 playoff points, and it pretty much sacked his season.
Could you do that to 4 Hendrick cars?
I don't know. That'd be a pretty big whack if they did. They also took them from the 31 car as well. So the 4 Hendrick cars plus the 31 car got theirs taken. And it was after practice, before qualifying, and they put supposedly the right ones on and didn't make a difference because Kyle Larson stopped them anyway.
If William Byron had those on his car last week in Las Vegas and it wasn't caught by NASCAR, that's really not Hendrick's fault. It's NASCAR. It's on NASCAR for that, correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
they're not going to go back and take one a week later.
Yeah. Crazy. Now, how good was William Byron last week? He was dominant in that event, but
I don't think it makes a noticeable competitive advantage. If 1%, maybe 2%, if they did do that, but if your car's handling
that close together, though, right?
If your car's handling like they had their cars handling, they're going to be that competitive. I mean, Kyle Busch in practice yesterday was 2/10 he had the field covered by. I almost thought that he was sandbagging in qualifying.
You talking about Larson?
Yes.
Larson, yeah.
That car's been lights out all weekend long.
And Larson, by the way, would have won at Las Vegas without a late race caution to allow the superior 24 car, which, by the way, we don't pick them too often to win on this show. That's why we say these might be the cars you want to eliminate, the ones that we suggest. But Brian nailed it last week and got William Byron. And I guess we're pretty safe picking a Hendrick car these days, right?
Would appear so, right, Brian?
Sure seems like it. They've been dominant, and we'll see if it holds out. But they've been really good to start the season so far.
If anybody would like to call the program and participate and point out something that we have missed, which happens sometimes, our telephone number is 414-421-7901, and you can weigh in. I wanted to mention that last week we lost one of the more prolific USAC stars that ever took a lap at the Milwaukee Mile. Bay Darnell passed away. What was he, 91, I think he was. 4 generations of Darnells have been race car drivers. Bay, I remember from my teens going out and seeing that beautiful number 12 Mopar with the trailer train on the side, that orange rocket, and what a wonderful guy he turned out to be. Got to know him over the years and really just absolutely one of the coolest guys you'll ever meet in your life. And I found out this morning when we were talking about it before the show, Ed, you actually worked with Bay Darnell for quite a while.
Yeah, he hired me and another guy to come down and help him straighten out his short track program. And I spent almost a full year working for him down there. And a little later on, he drove the Tristar Ford Busac Granada at Daytona for us.
And so you got to work with Bay Darnell. Anybody knows what a good guy he was. He
was a great guy.
Just as popular a driver as you'd ever. Now, saying all that about him, I can't remember ever seeing him win at Milwaukee. He must have won a bunch of races somewhere, but I never saw him win. Ed, you must have, right?
Yeah, I can't remember. Maybe one of the guys can look up his record.
Yeah.
Brian is usually really good at that. But it wasn't that he was just such a good guy.
Yep.
That everybody liked him, and he wasn't like if you compare to Sal Tavella would drive right through him, and the two of them were partners in trailer train. But Bay was a good guy.
He was the family patriarch of 4 generations of racing Darnells. Of course, Danny Darnell has raced. He's about my age, thereabouts, I believe. Eric Darnell raced briefly in NASCAR. And his son, Jackson Darnell, you may not know the name. The PR program being what it is for the next generation of racing Bushes, Brexton Bush is racing one of those micro sprints. Well, he's getting beat by Jackson Darnell, in case anybody didn't know that. Jackson is, and Ed, you'll be interested to know that there's another Musgrave racing those cars too. Justin's little boy races in those things against Jackson Darnell and Brexton Bush too. So how about that?
That's kind of fun to see those names come up,
We loved Bay Darnell. I will make no bones about it. He was an exceptional human being, a pretty darn good race car driver, and will definitely be missed by the entire racing world. And anybody that ever saw him or met him will never forget him, that's for sure. Once again, if you want to call the program and join us, 414-421-7901. We'll take a break and be right back.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
Miller Sales and Service is the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer for customer service and satisfaction. Serving the area since 1939, Miller's is located on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. As the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer, Miller's has all kinds of Bravo trailers from 8 feet to 48 feet in stock. They also have a selection of B&B utility and dump trailers, reliable and Chilton open aluminum and steel trailers. With over 50 pre-owned low-mileage cars, trucks, and SUVs, Miller's has just the vehicle you are looking for. Miller's also carries a full line of Alumacraft boats and Manitou pontoon boats, complete with Evinrude outboards. Why not buy from racers who know what racers want and need? With Miller's Sales and Service on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. Call Jerry, Tom, or Brad Miller today at 920-994-4358. That's Miller's Sales and Service, 920-994-4358.
The Milwaukee Admirals 5-game homestand continues when the team hosts the Chicago Wolves on Friday night. Threw it toward the net. It was blocked. Came back to the near point. They score! Zach Sanford on the back door. Pre-game coverage at 6:30. Face-off at 7 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
Hear us, they hear commercials.
Easy, boys.
What?
Easy. We've got to stop talking as you hear the music coming back now. Thanks to Billy Tandetsky, who from Diamond Racing Wheel, who called and made sure we understood that Bay Darnell won 4 USAC races. So I didn't know the number, but that's the magic number 4. Hey, we've got some names. Boy, oh boy, we've got some names. We're getting ready to go to COTA, Circuit of the Americas in Texas, and we've got some Formula One guys that are going to be joining us. As I like to say, we don't really have American guys named Kimi, but Kimi Räikkönen is going to race. Jenson Button is going to race a Rick Ware car, which will be supplied by Stuart Haas.
That makes it a lot better.
Yeah, I mean that's the kind of thing. Last year didn't. Let me remember now. We had a Bobby Dotter car, right? That was supplied by Stuart Haas.
That was an Xfinity.
Yep, an Xfinity series.
A couple years ago, when Cole Custer was coming up, remember he would get in that Rick Ware 51, and it would be a Stuart Haas car.
Okay, well,
and I think the connection there is Jenson Button has a deal with Mobil One, and Mobil One's at Stuart Haas, so that's kind of how that got put together.
They've been with him forever, I guess, right? The 09 Formula One champion, Jenson Button, by the way. And Kimi Räikkönen, did he ever win a Formula championship?
I believe so, yeah.
That'll be that Project 91 car, by the way. So, how good it is, I'm not sure. But having a couple of Formula One guys racing in NASCAR is kind of cool. And I don't even know if that's as cool as having Superman in a dirt car at Bristol. Jonathan Davenport, as you may have put together listening to our 2 dirt track guys here say something last week. It was announced this week.
Daytona. That was before the 500.
Oh, that was before?
You said that car will leap tall buildings in a single bound at Bristol.
Oh, yeah. Jonathan Davenport, as good as he is in a dirt late model, exactly how good is he going to do in one of these new cars provided by Colleague Racing, by the way, at Bristol? That's a different.
No one will never know. You know, you don't know, and you don't know what his background's going to be. As far as when the last time was, he was driving like an IMCA stock car or a street stock, which is about the closest thing you can compare to these cars. But he's going to give it a shot. And a lot of people are wondering, how does this happen? Where does he come up with all the money? Well, Nutrien Ag Solutions, which is a big sponsor for Colleague, is also a big sponsor for him on the dirt late model thing for several years. They've been with Colleague since 2019. They've been with JD since he started racing with the car that he's in now, the Landers car. So that's how it kind of got together. I think Nutrien Ag Solutions kind of just thought, hey, this would be cool to put him in that car. So this isn't Jonathan Davenport ponying up the $2 million that he won last year. running a dirt late model. This is him and his sponsor getting together to put this deal together. So, and he's 39 years old. So, he's going to be one of the elder statesmen out there if you think about it.
Talk about eyeballs on the sport, though. This is fantastic.
It is. Yeah, it's great. And hopefully the TV will give it its just while he's out there and talk about his accolades of what he's all done, because, I mean, the amount of money he won last year and all the races that he's won. I mean, he's a 4-time World 100 winner. He won the Eldora Million last year. He's a 3-time Lucas Oil champion. He was the XR champion last year. I mean, his list of accomplishments, I could read it from now till the end of the program. It's incredible what he's all done.
So Formula champions, dirt champions, and then another guy coming. He's going to take over for Chase Elliott at COTA. Jordan Taylor, an IMSA standout, and quite the social media presence, from what I understand, huh?
Yeah, he's driving in IMSA cars. He drives the Corvettes, so he's got some experience in heavier cars and the similar type of car. He's actually pretty good. He used to drive the prototype, was it the 10 car, right, with his brother Ricky, and Wayne owned that thing. And if you ever see his social media presence, Rodney Sandstorm, I think, is his.
Yeah, Sandstorm. Isn't that beautiful?
He dresses up like a NASCAR fan, like the stereotypical NASCAR fan, and it's actually kind of funny. Brian and I actually saw him at Daytona a couple of years ago outside the media center, and we were like, "What is this goof doing here? How'd this guy get around here?" I didn't know it was actually him.
And he's not a kid either. So this is kind of cool, seeing the non-kids get into this, because that's all we've been seeing over the years. I mean, Jordan's 31 years old. He's got 24 wins in the IMSA series, so he's got a lot of wins there.
Oh.
So, I mean, I think it's kind of cool that you got these guys now that are accomplishing a lot of things in other forms, getting a chance to hop in a cup car instead of a kid with a bunch of money. This is what we've been talking about for years. And, yeah, the circumstances are a little bit different for both of these here. But I think this is cool, and this is good for the sport, get eyes, and it's good for the other sports that they're coming from.
Exactly right, Brian. It's going to bring a lot more eyeballs to the sport. And speaking of Chase Elliott, they're saying 6 weeks for his recovery time. That's an awful long time to be giving a guy a waiver to continue racing for a championship. For a guy that didn't, get injured in a NASCAR event, like, say, for instance, Kyle Busch did several years ago in the Xfinity Series at Daytona, was given a waiver for that and ended up winning a championship. A guy out snowboarding that, takes himself out in something that he could have completely avoided. I don't know. Does he really deserve to have one of these waivers? I think that you should just write the year off for the guy. Come back and, represent your sponsor and win races. But unfortunately, you didn't get hurt in a NASCAR race. You got hurt doing something else.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Then you got to differentiate between the different types of things. And are we going to get into that? Then we're going to have red tape everywhere. I mean, what's the difference between, a guy flipping a midget at a short track, Kyle Busch wrecking an Xfinity car at an Xfinity race, or Chase Elliott, flipping a snowboard on a ski hill, or another guy, crashing his bicycle, Jimmy Johnson say he'd break his leg out bicycling. I don't think we can go and differentiate between all these things. And I still think it's going to be extremely difficult for him to do it, to get back in the car and win a race and get into the playoffs anyway. And if you're able to do it, well, then let's tip your hat to him and say, hey, you did a hell of a job coming back.
And
so I think it's all right.
Forget, he is NASCAR's most popular driver. Does that have anything to do with it? Or driving for Hendrick, who seems to be able to get away with anything he wants? So, we'll find out this week if they.
And let's also add, I think if they do put restrictions on it, and NASCAR does not grant it, well, then that's going to make it more difficult for the sponsors to come in and say, well, now this happened, and Napa's going to say, well, then you can't do this, and you can't do that. And then the snowball goes down the hill, and all of a sudden now what we've really gained in momentum here over the last 3 years with having these cup guys go out and do short track stuff is going to go away, and we don't want to go back to that again.
No, we really don't. You're right about that.
Stupid waiver when he flipped the four-wheeler or whatever.
Yeah, that was
the dune buggy, sand dune buggy. Yep,
sand dunes. Yeah, he broke his back, didn't he?
He got a waiver.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm good with it as far as that, because if it keeps the short track stuff going, which is what we want, I think then we're in a good place with it.
We're going to sneak away and do a break. We're glad you're listening. Getting ready to race right out here in Phoenix, Arizona. We'll be back after these.
Buckle up.
Get ready, get set, and get your tickets now as the NASCAR Xfinity Series returns to Wisconsin's Road America in Elkhart Lake, July 27th through the 29th. The smell of fresh rubber and food will fill the air for this weekend, along with the Porsche Carrera Cup for even more racing fun. An amazing, affordable weekend of family fun with camping, food, and more. Kids 16 and under get in free with paid adult. Come for the experience, stay for the race. Get your tickets today at roadamerica.com. Your national park of speed.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
The NASCAR Cup Series.
Field now getting closer and closer to the line. Green flag goes in the air.
West Coast Road Swing continues.
3 wide at the line. Logano virtually in the grass.
In the desert at Phoenix Raceway.
New driver, new organization combination, and it turns out to be a winning combination.
It's the United Rentals Work United 500.
Sunday, coverage starts at 1:30 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
We talked last week briefly about the Chicago election where our favorite mayor did not get a shot at getting reelected, and one of the candidates down there is saying, well, you know, we really have to look at these contracts like from NASCAR and all this before we shut up. Who do you think you're kidding? They're not. This guy running on some sort of idea that the NASCAR race won't happen because he'll get elected. I'm sorry, that just shut up. It's not happening. It's going to race in Chicago. They even have a name now. Brian, your dream comes true. It's called the Grant Park 220.
Yeah, that's not a sponsor, though. So I'm still looking for title sponsors for this event, which we still don't see. So where's the money coming from?
And then, of course, the Xfinity race will be called the Loop 101. Speaking of non-sponsors, it certainly is garnering excitement in our parts, though. And in fact, this is such a break from the usual for the way NASCAR does things to actually do a street race in a major metropolitan downtown area. I can't say I'm a fan that we're going to do it. On the other hand, there are people that are just beside themselves thinking how great and what a great move and a great step for NASCAR to do things like this. But then I see road course races on TV where last week in that IndyCar race, they had St. Petersburg road. You can't pass. It's too thin. Are we going to have a one-lane race? They have room for passing on this Chicago street course. Have you looked at it?
Well, I mean, when you're driving your car down the city street, do you see much passing? The idea is you're not supposed to, right? So, I mean, I don't know how well this is going to work. You see Indy cars do it. The only thing you got going with Cup cars is, you can rub a little. Indy cars rubbed last week and they get launched over each other.
Oh my God!
So, I think that'll be a little bit better. I think the biggest question mark in my mind is where this event is being held. If you look outside the window right now and you see what we have, there's a lot of freezing and a lot of thawing that goes on in Chicago. Most of these street races that you see around the country are held in warm weather climates. Is the infrastructure going to hold up to have these cars rumbling around on it, especially if they're not going to repave the whole circuit, which from all things we've heard, they're not going to do. So I guess that's my biggest thing. Even last week at St. Petersburg during the first practice session, the Indy cars were out there and they popped up a piece of asphalt. They had to go out there and patch it and try to get it to hold so that you're not running through a pothole. I think that's the biggest question mark I see in this whole thing is, will the infrastructure be able to hold up to have these cars rumble around on there? And they're a lot heavier than an Indy car.
A pothole 220. And then who pays for it? NASCAR is going to go over this road course with a fine-tooth comb to make sure, okay, well, look at this. Could use this and that, and maybe we should put a little more asphalt over here. Is the city of Chicago going to pay for that? Is NASCAR going to pay for that?
That's where the fight's going to be. And you come out and put pothole mix in, which I have experience doing. That doesn't always work either. I mean, we go fill a pothole and we'll drive away, and a car comes through it, and you can just hear the stuff hitting its tires as it goes by. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I would say once we get to spring and the snow is gone, I don't know when that'll be, but then, NASCAR will, I would imagine, go over there and start looking at the site, and maybe then we'll start getting some more feedback as to what the place is going to look like. Because you really haven't seen – I don't even know where the garage area is going to be. If you look at a Google Earth view of where the pit road is going to be, I don't know where they're going to put the transporters and where the garage area is going to be and how all the logistics of the event are going to work.
Crazy. Lots that still need – a lot of questions that still need answers, but – you have to admit it's created a buzz around our sport, and for that, that's not the worst thing. We could always use. I think buzz.
The most interesting thing for us is, and Dan and I are going to go down there, is by what it looks like. We're out, the hotel room that we got, Dan. We might have the best view in the house of the whole property.
You can watch it from your hotel room.
Yeah, I think because I think we're going to be higher than any grandstand, so this might work out for us.
We'll see.
Nice. That's not bad. We're racing in Phoenix today on a 1-mile track. Kyle Larson will start on the pole with his recently confiscated parts not on the car, still faster than anybody else in practice. Is it going to be a Hendrick day again today like it was last week at Las Vegas? We start a little bit later. 2:47 Wisconsin time is the green flag. Will be televised on Fox 6. And, of course, right here on the Big 920, coverage begins at 1:30 this afternoon, and we hope everybody is tuned in for that one. A big week here in Phoenix, Arizona, I have to tell you. We've got the NASCAR weekend here. We've got spring training. This is the opening weekend for the World Baseball Classic happening, one of 4 spots in the world where it's happening, right here in Phoenix. It's been quite the week, and tourism is going well. And of all things, it's been a cool winter. Not that I'm looking for sympathy, you understand, but it has been a relatively cool winter out here, and the Chamber of Commerce weather got here right on time. Sunny, 80 degrees today for all the tourists in town, and it's going to be just a spectacular time of year out here in Phoenix. And this, of course, brings in a lot of folks. Brian, what did you say seating is? About 50,000 here, right?
Yeah, right around there.
Okay.
And then if you add all the people that you can get in the infield, I think the numbers for the championship race were right around the 58 to 60,000 mark they had for that. And that was every single thing sold, which I don't think you're going to have everything sold today. But from what I looked at, the tickets look to be going pretty good for the Cup race today.
And by the way, ticket sales are going real well, I am told, for the championship race in November. And if you're thinking of coming out here for that, I would recommend getting it going pretty soon, because they told me they think it'll be sold out by May. Okay, so you've got another month and a half. But, if you're really thinking about it, the good seats are going fast. I know, because I looked at the seating chart yesterday. And this may or may not be a good time to go out and spend a little money if you're coming out in the fall. They had yesterday in qualifying for the Xfinity Series a blown engine under the 48 car. I don't know if you guys noticed that. I'm sure, Ed, you were watching on television because you don't miss any of this. The Xfinity car, the 48 car, came in and they changed the engine, and I was watching them change it, and I was I don't pay attention to what engines look like normally on these cars, but the one they were putting in right in front of me had a completely flat bottom on it. And I didn't really realize that that's what you do with these engines, is you make them having flat bottoms. I thought somehow they just had air deflectors off the bottom. It's a freaky looking engine. Where the hell do they put all the oil?
It's a dry sump type system that even in a short track car, they have a flat bottom.
Oh, all right. Well, I don't look at the bottom of engines very often, and it just blew me away. I thought, what the hell is that?
Well, there's not much oil in the pan. There's only about a quart of oil in the engine. The rest of it's in a tank behind the driver with a couple of gallons of oil.
Okay.
And that oil is pumped from the tank to the engine and then back to the tank. They don't have, it's not like your passenger car where all that 4 or 5 quarts of oil is kept in the pan. There's only about 1.5 quarts of oil in the engine at one time.
All right, interesting stuff. We're glad you tuned in. We're going to come back with some results from around the world of racing, and we actually had our first race in the ASA Stars Series. Pretty good. We'll be back.
Buckle up, get ready, get set, and get your tickets now as the NASCAR Xfinity Series returns to Wisconsin's Road America in Elkhart Lake, July 27th through the 29th. The smell of fresh rubber and food will fill the air for this weekend, along with the Porsche Carrera Cup for even more racing fun. An amazing, affordable weekend of family fun with camping, food, and more. Kids 16 and under get in free with paid adult. Come for the experience, stay for the race. Get your tickets today at roadamerica.com. Your national park of speed.
Miller Sales and Service is the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer for customer service and satisfaction. Serving the area since 1939, Miller's is located on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. As the Midwest's #1 Bravo trailer dealer, Miller's has all kinds of Bravo trailers from 8 feet to 48 feet in stock. They also have a selection of B&B utility and dump trailers, reliable and Chilton open aluminum and steel trailers. With over 50 pre-owned low-mileage cars, trucks, and SUVs, Miller's has just the vehicle you are looking for. Miller's also carries a full line of Alumacraft boats and Manitou pontoon boats, complete with Evinrude outboards. Why not buy from racers who know what racers want and need? With Miller's Sales and Service on the corner of Highway 57 and K in Random Lake. Call Jerry, Tom, or Brad Miller today at 920-994-4358. That's Miller's Sales and Service, 920-994-4358.
PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit PMFlandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
Nothing brings me the pure joy and satisfaction of watching a whole room full of NCAA athletes find out that their hopes and dreams,
they don't pass the eyeball test to me,
will not be fulfilled because they did not make the NCAA tournament. So strap in for Selection Sunday, or as I prefer it,
Rejection
Sunday.
What's wrong with you?
All day coverage right here. 97.3.
All day.
All day long.
All the time.
The Game.
And now the LTN Hour presents Dirt on the Dirt with Brian Schmidt.
We're still in a little bit of a lull in the dirt racing side of things as the weather creates havoc across the country. The World of Outlaw sprint cars were supposed to race in Pennsylvania this week. That didn't work because I think they got the same weather we got over the week. We'll start, though, Monday night down in Barberville, Florida, Volusia Speedway Park for the World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series. They were down there during Bike Week, and Monday night's race went to David Gravel as he made it. I think that's 3 out of 5 races the World of Outlaws ran down there. He picked up the win. So
I don't like that guy.
No?
Has there ever been a greater name for a dirt racer than David Gravel?
He's talented, though. I'll say that. He doesn't matter who he drives for. He's good. Friday night out in Vado, New Mexico at the Vado Speedway Park, the Winter Meltdown for the USRA Modifieds. 2,000 to win. Carlos Armada Jr. was your winner. Down in DuQuoin, Illinois, where it wasn't snowing, well, I guess it doesn't matter because they were racing inside the Southern Illinois Center for the Extreme Outlaw Midget Series. Kenan McIntosh was your winner. Clarksville, Tennessee. Every year we always enjoy this event. It's the 19th annual Tuckasee Toilet Bowl Classic. The Plunger race, 3,000 to win, went to Dennis Herb Jr. on Friday night. Also in Greenwood, Louisiana, the Boot Hill Speedway for the Comp Can Super Dirt Late Model Series, 5,000 win. Logan Martin was your winner there Friday. Last night, night number 2 in Vado, New Mexico for the Winter Meltdown, 3,000 to win for the USRA Modifieds. Late model standout now, Johnny Scott picked up the win there. Night number 2 in the Southern Illinois Center in DuQuoin, Illinois for the Extreme Outlaw Midgets. Jade Avedisian, the young lady, picked up the feature win there. Congratulations to her. I think that's her second or third one with this series, so that's good for her. Paragon, Indiana, they did race the No Way Out 40 for the 410 non-wing sprints. Logan Seavey was your winner. Clarksville, Tennessee, night number 2 of the Tuckasee Toilet Bowl Classic. The $7,500 to win toilet bowl goes to Brian Shirley. And they get an actual full-size toilet bowl that when he takes a picture at Victory Lane, he sits on it.
Yes, I've seen it. Dave Filer did that one time at Madison. It was beautiful.
Night number 2 in Greenwood, Louisiana for the Comp Cam Super Dirt Late Model Series 10,000 win. That went to Garrett Alberson. And the big money race on the weekend was in Seymour, Tennessee, 411 Motor Speedway for the Schaefer Royal Spring Nationals. $15,000 to win for the Dirt Late Models. Corey Hedgecock was your winner there. So if the weather cooperates next weekend, the World of Outlaw Late Models will get back into action in Tennessee and Georgia Thursday through Saturday. So we'll see if the weather decides to cooperate or not.
Brian, where's Southern Speedway or Southern?
That's in Milton, Florida.
Okay, they ran last night. Did you see the action there?
No, I did not.
Fun. Boy, Ashton Winger and G.R. Smith got into it on the racetrack and used their cars as kind of weapons and took each other out, and they had a fight in the pits, and one of them went to jail.
Fights. Oh, a lot of things with fights in the southern area of racing, isn't it?
Jail?
They like to fight.
Speaking of fights, was the first ever ASA Stars National Tour race. It was at Five Flag Speedway in Pensacola, Florida. Quite an event, attended by Northerners, and we've got a handful of them in there. Casey Roderick won it. Dan, now you watched it and I didn't. I watched scoring, and it's just not the same. In fact, I believe you were watching it with the Egan boys, weren't you?
We had a watch party to watch the first National Tour race. Overall, I thought the race was pretty entertaining. It was a little bit long and a lot of yellows, but it was a big-time race, and the drivers kind of had that big-time feel with it. Bubba Pollard and Casey Roderick were kind of going to decide it, and with 30 laps to go, a yellow came out for an incident that happened behind them. They were the top 2 cars, but after coming off the corner, Roderick jacked up Bubba Pollard and spun him out. I mean, when he had him kind of sideways, he didn't let him catch it. He drove through him. And that's where the controversy came in. The race director said the yellow was for the incident happened behind him. That, not what happened on the front stretch, but people are upset because you can't really take the leader out. And Pollard didn't just spin; he spun and got hit by a couple other cars. His night was done. Casey Roderick went on and led the last 30 laps. That left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths because you can't jack the leader up and wreck him and not have any consequences. And he had some consequences in the text said because Bubba found him there and probably jumped on him. And so there's all that going on for the next race, which will be here in Madison in about a month.
Bubba?
But the biggest part of that race last night was Ty Majeski. I mean, it's not often that Toby misses the setup completely. And that car was so bad the first half of the race, and they kept coming in and fixing it, and then Ty was on his way to the front and I was going to win, and the hood flew open. He came back from the hood flying open.
2 laps down.
And to watch him drive through the field was pretty impressive.
They gave him a 2-lap penalty for stopping and causing the yellow when the hood was up. I'm not. I think the safest thing to do when your hood's up is stop.
I don't think.
You want him to drive, do you want to drive in the pits? There's people there if you can't see. I don't know.
The problem was he drove for 3 laps with it open. And then decided, well, I guess they're going to have to throw a yellow for this, so he just stopped on the track. But came back from the 2-lap penalty because all the yellows.
Well, they had 2 quick cautions, and there was no cars a lap down, so he got Lucky Dog got him right back.
Right, and that's and then to watch him come to the front. If he wouldn't have got trapped behind those 3 cars, he would have won the race.
And I got to give a shout-out to Gabe Summers. All our guys did really well down there.
I ended up 3rd, by the way.
Yeah, and Summers finished 6th. I mean, that's pretty darn good for that team. What they were racing against there to come up with a 6th-place finish is pretty good. I think Austin Nason was 7th.
Yep. Dan Fredrickson was down there, finished 12th. Bubba ended up 19th after that mishap. Derek Kraus was there, ended up 21st. Michael Bilderback, 29th. And overall, 200 laps, guys. Was it a pretty good show? Or
you got to give Boris Jerkovich a shout out. He finished 32nd, but first in the fire extinguisher toss.
Well, the thing that I liked is they did not count yellow flag laps. So every lap you saw was under green. That was pretty impressive.
Nice. LTN sent a first-time reporter ever to the ARCA race here Friday night in Phoenix, and with the ARCA report, our own Matt Hangover Losey, who was there at the Phoenix Raceway for the first time in his life Friday night. Matt, how'd you enjoy that 150 lapper?
Reporter? I don't know.
Well, that's you. You're a reporter now.
We had a good time there.
Correspondent. 150 laps, but it didn't exactly go right through 150 laps, did it?
No. Started off with a bunch of cautions, which was good for me because I could take a break,
Oh, yeah, smokers. That's right. God.
But I noticed the number 18 made an amazing comeback there. And then
William Swallich. Huh? How about
yep.
the job he did in that thing?
It was awesome.
Yeah, Swallich. So who won it?
Who did win it? What's his name?
That's our reporter right there.
Some guy with a last name Reif, right?
Yeah, Tyler Reif. 15 years old because it's my grandpa is a rich dude 150 in the Arca series.
Well, the whole top five was under 20 years old, so they're all pretty young.
You got a chance to see William Swallich in that series, and I think this kid is going to be a star someday. So
it was great to watch.
Remember, you saw him first, and you got to remember when you're going to report on these things, you got to remember who won. We'll be right back.
Got it. From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines, just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company, in the heart of Wisconsin, is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at WagnerAutomotive.com.
Buckle up, get ready, get set, and get your tickets now as the NASCAR Xfinity Series returns to Wisconsin's Road America in Elkhart Lake, July 27th through the 29th. The smell of fresh rubber and food will fill the air for this weekend, along with the Porsche Carrera Cup for even more racing fun. An amazing, affordable weekend of family fun with camping, food, and more. Kids 16 and under get in free with paid adults. Come for the experience, stay for the race. Get your tickets today at roadamerica.com. Your national park of speed.
Got it at the horn! There are several ways to get $1 million. Game winner! A perfect bracket.
Absurd.
Probably is not one of them. You have a better chance of lightning striking you.
Oh, my God.
Twice. To the beat of Thunderstruck by AC/DC.
That would be really unlikely.
Hear the moment your bracket falls apart.
Immediately.
Right here. 97.3 The Game.
And welcome back. There's a couple other results from the world of asphalt. The Cars Tour had their first race at the Southern National Motorsports Park. That's Kenly, North Carolina. And Deke McCaskill won that one, and Carson Koppel was in it. Deke, D-E-A-C. I never saw that name before.
He's actually been around a while. He's one of the
veterans. Yeah. Really? Carson Koppel was there, finished second. And the Sunoco Super Series for super late models ran at Auburndale Speedway, which is in Winter Haven, Florida. They had twin features, and I can't say I ever heard of either of these two guys, Jonathan Guy and T.J. DeCare. Now, even though, you may not have heard before, you win super late model races, and that might be the first time you heard of them. And, these guys get good. Maybe they'll go up and race with the ASA Stars Series. Who knows? That seems to be where the major league of short track super late model racing is going on right now. That was their first race. Ed, did you enjoy the race overall?
Yeah, it was good.
It was good racing all the way around. They did have their share of cautions. I mean, you can't avoid that sort of. Hey, did they have? I was watching on a scoring loop, and I was wondering if they had breaks every 50 laps, or did they just suddenly have cautions at 50 laps for wrecks?
No, they had planned 50-lap breaks, and plus even though at most tracks, if they have a yellow between the 50s, they wouldn't stop at another 50, right, Dan?
Right, yeah, they seem to hold on to them competition cautions. They're going to be at that time, even if a yellow occurred near there.
Oh. Well, all in all, though, I mean, other than the call itself for Casey Roderick not to be put back for taking out Bubba, Bubba actually took care of things himself, Dan. Huh? That's pretty cool.
Looked like it, yeah. I mean, I get he was mad. I mean, I would be too. And other than that incident, I thought the whole event was pretty good. I thought it was a good start for the series, and to get kicking off here with this national tour. Looking forward to them coming to Madison on May 7th for the Joe Shear race. That's the next one. The good cars, the 36 cars showed up. I mean, it's a strong field that way. It looks like there's a lot of interest behind it. And, as we go on with the Joe Shear race and the Slinger Nationals, I mean, there's a lot of cars going to come to the Slinger Nationals as this goes on. And I think it'd be a good overall.
That's supposed to be on MAV TV sometime this week, isn't it?
Right, a week later. I think this coming week, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
check your local listings.
I watched the whole race with the sound off. It was pretty good.
You didn't hear all the interesting things. Hey, you've been hearing us talk about the Nashville racetrack where they used to run a cup race every week. Now I'm talking about the fairgrounds now, not the super speedway, which is like a half hour east of Nashville. This is the old Nashville Fairgrounds Raceway. As you recall, the folks that run Bristol put out a pretty nice package to come in and redo the Nashville Fairgrounds track and have a race there every year. And, of course, when you deal with fairgrounds, it's a little bit different than dealing with private entrepreneurs. And there's going to be a vote. The state of Tennessee is going to have a vote this week for their Nashville Fairgrounds, and we're going to find out whether or not that Bristol's very generous offer of upgrading that little .596 track will be taken, and we will actually have cup racing back there again. I really hope that it goes through. I really, really enjoyed the cup races at that racetrack, and I miss them, and I really wish they'd come back. But it's been 1983, I think, was the last time they were. Come on.
I think 84.
That was it? 84. Can you imagine that?
84 was the year when Darrell and Waltrip and Neil Bonnet had the discussion of who won that race because they had a yellow at the end. And they pulled the cars back and forth out of victory lane. First, Neil.
Teammates, too, weren't they?
Yeah, both of them for Junior Johnson. And Darrell jumped in a plane and came up here and ran the Milwaukee Mile the next day. They had I think it was called the Red Carpet 200.
Went there with many drivers to run short track cars there, and it's just an awesome competitive place.
It is. It absolutely is. Yeah, and it was a 420 lap race, which came out to 250 miles. And I saw Benny Parsons win there. I saw Richard Petty win there. It's a great time. Hey, gentlemen, we're here at Phoenix. It's too easy, don't you think, to pick Kyle Larson today? I'm going to take a different Hendrick car. I'm going to go with Bowman the Showman, the 48, to win his first time at his home track. Ed, who are you looking at?
Kevin Harvick.
Oh, maybe make it number 10, huh, Dan?
I'm slinging for the fences. Brad Keselowski.
Ooh. And I have a guess on Brian, but I'll tell you if I was right when I hear his name.
No, I think Kyle Larson will win it, but we're leaving him out. I'm going to go with Ryan Blaney. I think he's a little irritated after the comments from Kyle Petty this week, and he's going to want to go out and prove that he can win.
And he's always one of the cars. That is who I thought you were going to take, by the way. Thanks for tuning in. We do appreciate it. And remember, real race cars have doors, even if they do climb in through the windows. Let's Talk NASCAR is produced and directed by Dan Margetta. Our elite engineer is Matt Losey. For the entire group, we appreciate you tuning in every week. We'll see you next week, everybody.
This program has come to you live from multiple locations via Skype. Any and all comments expressed on this show do not necessarily express the opinions of this station, its employees, or advertisers. Your comments are always welcome at mail@ltnradionetwork.com. Find us at facebook.com/LTN Radio Network. And thank you for your support since 1985. Tune in again next Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time for the LTN Hour on the LTN Radio Network.